Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, I'm not going to bring you guys every single thing I do out here, but I am going to bring you some of the things that I feel like are important. Like for example, this patch over here. At one point, I actually grew watermelons all the way through this patch, and I got to get up, maybe 5 or 6 watermelon out of it. It wasn't any crazy numbers or anything like that, but I wanted to do it again. So last year, I tried to grow watermelons and everything was going fine. The seedlings were growing. I transferred them in. They seemed strong. They were going, and all of a sudden, it wasn't all of a sudden. Let me be honest. What ended up happening is this. I ended up adding pine bark to the soil. And I'll be honest, I did not know that pine bark was so acidic. And watermelons do not like a very high acidic level in the soil when they're trying to do their thing. So typically a watermelon wants about acidic level between 5 and 6-ish, 6.5 to be the most. And quite honestly, at this point, I'm not sure what the acidic level is in this dirt. So I needed to find out what it is. So what I did was I went out to Home Depot and I got this pH tester. It's supposed to be testing the fertilization level as well as the pH and the alkalinity level in the soil. So I decided to go ahead and give it a whirl. If you're going to be doing the same thing, just make sure you follow the instructions on whichever one you purchase, because the one I purchased, it's a 2-in-1. So I'm just making sure that I'm following the steps the way they're telling me to, so that way I can make sure that I get the reading that I'm supposed to get. So first it said to go ahead and take about 4 samples of the soil that you're going to be testing. Get soil from 4 different locations. And it said for each location, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to dig down about 2 inches from above the surface and then take in about 3 to 4 cups of soil from each of those locations. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. All right, so I'm gonna start from the very end and work my way up. And what I'm doing is I'm using this mesh so that way I can kind of catch all the larger particles that are in the soil, because it says to make sure that I remove things like rocks and little pieces of twigs and everything else, but I need to get them from 4 different locations. So I'm gonna start back here. So it says to go down about 2 inches into the soil and then take in about 4 cups roughly. So I put it over here, shake it out. This is about 2 cups here, 3, and a 4th one. So each of this trowel is about a cup or so. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and shake all the larger particles out of it. So now we're left with 4 cups on one section. Now we move down to the other side of the garden, this patch here, to get a couple more soil samples. And we take about 1, because what we want to do is we want to make sure we're getting a sample from different points of the garden or of the soil. Go a little deep. I got some of this soil as well. Once we get our soil and we take all that stuff out of it, I am going to have to kind of process it a little bit more to get some of these twigs and everything out of it. But once I do that, I am then going to add some purified water in here and go on to the next step.
Hey, if you've been enjoying the videos or picking up tips on growing your own food or living sustainably, consider buying me a cup of coffee. It's a simple way of showing your support to the channel, and it also helps keep the content growing, literally. Just hit the link in the description. Thanks a bunch.
All right, so roughly we have about 10 cups of dirt in here from different portions of the yard, and we're gonna go ahead and mix it all together. And from all of this, we're going to filter it down even further. You know what? I need to get something with a little bigger holes than this, but we are going to try to go ahead and clean it down to where it's about 4 cups of clean dirt that we're going to put in here to do our testing. Then that's what we're going to add the water to. All right, so we got something a little bit bigger. So now I'm going to go ahead and grab some of this dirt. This might take a little bit of time, but point here is you want to be prepared the soil the way you need to. And if you don't know where it's starting, you have no idea which direction you're going with it. So that's the whole point here, because I need to know exactly where the pH level is on this soil before I can start doing anything to it. It's gonna take a couple minutes, but it's worth it. Okay, so according to the instructions I read for my tester, it says for me to take about 2 to 3 cups of the soil that I just recently cleaned out. To go ahead and take some of the soil, put it in a container that is more than 3 inches tall. And it says to make sure you have something to mix the soil with. And you're going to add filtered or rainwater. So don't use the tap water, okay? You want to fill this in to where it's completely soaked. So I'm just going to pour it in real slow. The bubbles mean that the water's getting down to the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and mix it. And then after properly mixing this, it says to let it sit for about a good 15 minutes with the water, and then pour out the excess water out of it. So, all right, it is 15 minutes later and this thing has pretty much settled. So it said to get rid of the excess water, but instead of doing that, I'm just gonna go ahead and pour it in this culantro that I have growing in this little pot, because it needs some water anyways, and this is good nutritious water. So we got rid of excess water, and what we're left with is this, a slush that I'm gonna get rid of some more of this extra water. So this is what we're left with, which is pretty much a soil sample of what we have over there. So now I'm going to go ahead and take the prongs and put in here, and it says to put in there between 2 to 15 minutes until the reading starts to change, and that will tell you your soil's fertility level, its pH, as well as whether it's acidic or alkaline. There we go. Put this all the way in the middle like that. And then we're going to wait to see where it goes from where it is right now. I don't know if you guys can see that. It says 7, but we're gonna wait and see. Give it about 2 to 15 minutes. All right, so it's been 15 minutes, and currently this is what my soil is reading when it comes to an alkaline level. So I don't want to definitely put watermelon in there until I amend the soil to bring it down to about no more than a 6.5. So currently it's reading a 7.1, 7.2-ish. So I need to bring that down to a 6.5. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to go ahead and find natural additives that I need to put into the soil, start mixing it into where my acidity level can actually go down before putting my watermelons in, because I'm going to start my watermelon seedlings now, and I want to make sure by the time they get ready to be transplanted into the soil is ready for them. Okay, so that's the important thing right here, is to know where you're starting from, so that way you know where you're going in terms of amending your soil. So right now my soil is way too acidic to support watermelon. So I need to get it down to where it can support watermelon. So stay tuned. I'm going to give you guys a step-by-step on how to do that. And it definitely is going to take some of the wood ash that we created earlier on to mix into the soil to start lowering the acidity level. All right, so guys, get yourself one of these testers. You want to know where your soil starts, so that way you know where you want to get your soil to. All right, so if you learned something from this, go ahead and drop a comment and a thumbs up and subscribe. See you next time.